The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. The simple question, we've kind of hit on this before, but this one cuts a little bit more to the point, to the bone. We'll just go to say, hey Perch, I know that's not your real name. Thank you. Not everyone does seem to realize that. But anyway, dear Perch, I'm curious. I've read comics for about 15 years. I am not a social media user. I stumbled onto your channel when my local LCS pointed me to it. They said you had a lot of good interviews, and you did. I particularly liked your interview with Rachel Pollack. She was a legend and will be missed. Many of your videos touch upon the anxiety fans have toward comics, and in particular, the dislike and mistrust that several of the customers have toward creators. This has been a topic in my LCS, but my retailer and his manager often just shrug their shoulders and say the people on the internet are always bitching about something. Admittedly, I don't go to Twitter and I won't have a Facebook account. In my opinion, those are for old people. So, awesome. Sorry, I love that. I don't know why, but I love that so much. Okay, those are for old people. My question is, why do so many people have this built-up anger toward comics? It doesn't really make any sense to me. I've heard your explanations around comic quality, people who are concerned about characters changed and everything else, but a lot of the comments that I see on your video and others feel a lot more personal, and nobody really ever answers the question, why are people so angry? Not about the characters, but about the creators. Interested to get your opinion. You probably have already covered this, but you'll have to excuse me. I'm not going to go back and listen to thousands of videos to try and get the answer. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. It's an interesting question. It is a good question because I think a lot of the commentary you hear is often about the creator, the content. And the creators kind of get lumped into it as the people who created that content. So like I've done videos in the past, and it's not going to be this one, you know, if you're a fan of the X-Men and you've read all those issues, and then the X-Men has a major tonal change, which it does, or they take characters and they massively retcon them, like, hey, you know, well, what's funny is people will talk about the Bobby Drake Iceman coming out as gay, but there's actually a quote-unquote X-Men outrage that happened before that. I remember very clearly, shop was open at this time, and it was that the Scott-Jean romance was kind of this, you know, not as set in stone as the Peter Parker MJ romance, but it was still like that was the couple. Cyclops and Marvel Girl was the couple. And so when, you know, Jean died and during the end of Morrison's run, and then they kind of went with the, you know, Cyclops Emma romance for, you know, quite a length of time. There are people who felt really irritated by that. They didn't feel like it plugged into the characters. Like, how is this guy? There were people who did not like it, and they liked it for, by and large, the same reasons that people don't like Bobby Drake coming out as gay or any of the other retcons. It just doesn't feel natural to them as readers. Now, in fairness, you know, Scott getting a relationship going with Emma was, you know, built up with a lot of storyline that Morrison did. So it didn't come out of nowhere. Whereas the Bobby Drake being gay came out of, you know, a panel on a Bendis comic where, and then they tried to gaslight the fans by saying, no, the clues were always there. It's like, well, as long as you forget that whole like relationship you had with Opal and him chasing girls around and all the rest of that stuff. But if you cherry pick, and I've done a video on this, you can search on the history of Iceman. But you know, you could cherry pick a handful of panels and he looks gay. But in fairness, if you cherry pick a couple panels of any character in the Marvel or DC universe, you could probably make an argument that they're gay. Because especially if you're looking at comics written in the 60s, you know, that it was very much 60s sensibilities. You had characters like, gosh darn, I get all queasy when I go to this dance. And then if you interpret that as, I don't like girls, they make me want to vomit, then, you know, I mean, like, look, you know, Spider-Man is clearly gay. So you could do that. So there's irritation about that. But the crux of your question, if I'm reading it correctly, is why the frustration with creators, and more, why kind of not just frustration, but the anger, and why you see this a lot where a creator falls on hard times. I'll tell you from my perspective, and you don't have to share this at all. This is purely a decision of one, me. You see tweets like Mags Visaggio is tweeting, and I know you're going to say which time, but just now is tweeting, "My family is going through a financial hardship owing to the writer's strike. Any help at all is appreciated so we can get groceries and pay our rent during this lean time." And then offers a link to the Cash App, basically e-begging for some money. And a number of people are looking at that and are going kind of a mixture of, "Ha, you loser, you're broke," and also, "Look at this bum begging for cash. And if comics are doing so great, why do they beg for cash and everything else?" But this isn't, just Mags. There's lots of creators have this basic interaction of, "Hey, we need cash." And a lot of people take delight in the idea that the person, can't afford a sandwich, or their teeth are falling out, or a number of, money flow problems that they have. I think why do people take delight in that, or why is there that kind of draw? Well, the biggest is it's karma to some extent, and this is where I feel like there's some fair and unfair parts to it. Again, this is my opinion, not yours. Mags posted a number of things deliberately kind of antagonizing people, not just about comics, but everything. I mean, I tell you, Mags is not a popular character in the Seattle comic scene after she went on and on and on about Kurt Cobain being trans. And it turns out people in Seattle kind of, like Kurt Cobain. He's, local guy. And Kurt Cobain's suicide or murder, depending on how you view it. He's somebody people have a great fondness for. So coming in and saying, he was always trans, it gets people angry. Not just I disagree, but legitimately, like, it feels like you're baiting us and we don't like to be baited. We're angry. And so when, that person who seems to take a lot of pleasure and delight in baiting and attacking the fans turns around and asks to beg for money from said fans, you do get that, well, go screw off. And you get people who take delight in that situation. And so that's karma. In a lot of the, fans and customers' minds, it's karma for bad behavior. It's like Dan Slott blocks a bunch of people and then his comic doesn't sell well. And people are like, this is what you get. Tom King, goes off and brags about getting, Mark Doyle fired or taken off his book. And then, Tom King has a poor selling run and, problems ensue. Look, he's got the new Wonder Woman out right now as a new #1, and it's a core character. It will sell okay for the first issue, but that comic is not going to do well long term. It's just not. I say this from the standpoint of Wonder Woman doesn't do well long term under any writer. It's just the character just struggles. It's a tough character. DC will tell you that. They have mentioned this many, many, many times. So the odds are this Tom King run is not exactly going to defeat Batman in the sales month in, month out. And a highly political, ice, analogy, I think is going to wear thin. The thing that I think DC's counting on and Tom King is counting on is that, we're entering into a political season and people are going to be hungry for this kind of content. And my feeling is the exact opposite. I think a lot of people are pretty just pissed off and burned out of American politics. And regardless whether it was right wing or left wing, nobody really wants to see this in comics right now. They don't want to see a Wonder Woman with a political take. They're just, they're tired of it. They're tired of this nonstop bullshit that seems to go on with politics. And, comic books are escapist entertainment. They don't want, a big long analogy about this horse shit. But again, I may be wrong. Maybe it'll sell well. I will admit it if I don't. But history suggests otherwise. Whether you like the book, hate the book, like the tone, like Tom King, don't like Tom King, regardless of Wonder Woman struggles, just always has. So there's a certain amount of karma that comes in there. So the part that's in fairness, that's fair. A lot of these people deliberately kind of wanted to get in and brawl and toy with fans, screw with them, and get a reaction. And so when they fall on hard times, I don't think it's unnatural, or, I don't think it's, I don't think we can blame the fans for going, okay, now it's my turn to kick you around a little bit. I mean, would it be better if everybody just kind of read comics and didn't get involved in this brawl in the first place? Sure. That would be much better for everybody's sanity, but you can't exactly blame people for, karma. The part that's unfair is that I do think now we've seen creators who are falling on hard times, and they're getting kind of lumped into others. I see people every now and then on my message board or my comments area go, well, screw it. All the creators for Marvel suck, and I feel no pity for any of them when they're broke. Well, that's not fair. A lot of them are good people, and a lot of them are not baiting the fans or doing any of this other bullshit. And it's a shame that basically the bad behavior of a few is, pouring off into others. And so I think that's, my ask to fans would be, I'm with you. Karma is karma. Karma's a bitch. But, like, I do think let's tone it down when, we're going after a fan, or sorry, when we're going after a creator who legitimately did nothing wrong and has been a good citizen and has, not waded in, isn't getting into any fight at all, doesn't have a social media account. We shouldn't be lumping them in with the people who are bad actors who cause trouble. I think that's fair in my mind. Some would say, no, you work for Marvel, so you're guilty by association. I'm sorry. I think that's just bullshit. I think we should judge each, you would want the same, you, the listener. We would all want to be judged by our own individual actions, not, somebody else. I worked on a book once with Tamara Bonvillain, so therefore, I deserve everything I get. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. And you don't have any responsibility as a customer to buy from Marvel if you don't like the company. That's fine. But, there's a big difference between going at a creator for karma or going at a creator because of association, in my mind. Now, you may feel differently. That's fine. But that's my take on it. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for the mail, and thanks for listening.